I thought I'd put together a video about what to expect when you go to a foreign airport and what that process looks like from start to finish. You know, English is my first language. I live in the United States. Going to a foreign country's airport was a little bit nerve-wracking for me because everything was in a different language and I was all by myself. Hey guys, my name is Natalie. I just got back from a 2-month solo backpacking trip throughout Europe. I saw over 15 countries. In order to make my way around Europe, I jumped on a ton of different planes, trains, cars, buses, everything. So let's jump right into it. First thing I want to note is some things are slightly different, like the language of all the signs, the language that the people speak, the language of all the announcements that you hear on over the intercom. Just knowing that before you go to the airport, just like preparing yourself mentally, will give you a peace of mind. I kind of got anxiety the first time I went to, I think I was in Switzerland, and I was flying to Nice, France. And the language of all of the announcements was not English, and it just freaked me out. It just caught me off guard. For the most part, there's always going to be like the foreign language sign, and then right below it, it's probably going to be the translation in English. Don't freak out too much, and remember you can always ask for help. And also be aware that the main currency in the airport is probably going to be the euro or whatever the currency is of that country. You can always convert your currency over in the airport, but just remember it's going to be a ridiculous rate when you do that. Watch my video about the best credit cards to use while traveling here. One other thing I'll note, boarding gate is not announced until a couple, like maybe 20 minutes before you actually get on the plane. You basically just sit in like this lounge with like everyone, right? And you watch like the screen of like where your flight is, when it's leaving, what the status is, and then the gate. When you're actually ready to board, that's when the gate will be announced. In the United States, they tell you where your gate is from the get-go, so there's no questions. Okay, the third thing I want to bring up, so the food in the airports is really cheap actually, which is interesting, and there's also a lot of healthy options, which was refreshing and nice. I remember I went to London and I had like a really healthy like lentil tahini chicken salad that was like pre-packaged, and the ingredients were super clean, and it was like €4. Any airport you go to, you'll find like amazing espresso as well, which is much different than the United States, obviously. All right, the fourth thing I want to bring up is just remember that Uber does not exist in all countries. When you land in a new country, just be aware some countries do not even have Ubers as an option. So taxis would be your best bet. Also be aware that they aren't super safe when you go, call a taxi, because they can, number one, just like drive all over the place and then rack up this crazy bill for you that you have to pay, which is what happened to me when I was in Paris, and then drop you off, and you're not going to feel safe if you don't know exactly where you're going. I always just like, if I'm traveling alone, which is like all the time, I like to see exactly where I'm going and then have it on my phone, and then know you can share that with like anyone that you want to give yourself a peace of mind, and then anyone else a peace of mind as well. Just do your research before going to your country that you're traveling to. Do they have Uber? And then if not, like I know in Budapest there was no Uber, but they do have an app called, I'll throw it up here. The fifth thing I want to bring up is it's very common to board your plane outside of the airport. So like you'll actually go outside, walk on the concrete of like where the planes are standing, and then you'll walk up the stairs of the plane. The next thing I want to talk about is if you are planning on bringing a carry-on because it's free with your ticket through the budget airline, and you're like, oh, it's kind of big, but I'll just like shove it under there and I'll make it work, it's gonna be great. Just know the space under the seats are incredibly small. You think it's small in the United States, it's even smaller in Europe. That's because they don't have an obesity problem like we do in the United States. The seats are small, and so that means the carry-on bag that you bring also has to be small. Another thing I want to talk about is most of the announcements you'll hear in the airport are going to be in a foreign language, probably not English. This was not helpful when I was in Nice, France again, because my flight got canceled and I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what did you just say? I'm like, do you speak English? Does anyone speak English? And I had to get someone else to like translate it because no one spoke English. It was really weird. I was in a small airport. If you want to watch that video, I'll throw it up here. The last thing I want to share is when you go through security, they're going to look at everything, and you basically take everything out of your carry-on bag, and they're going to look in your toiletries like it is their business. The reason I bring this up is just because it's annoying. Like if you're trying to get on your flight like super fast and just zoom through security, it doesn't happen like that. So bring a toiletry bag that is clear, because then they can easily see in and like see that there's nothing bad that you're bringing. And then you can easily just throw that clear bag back into your backpack and you're off, okay? That's what I did. And if you want to see what I brought inside of my toiletry bag, just click on this video here. I go into detail about like all of my mini toiletries that I bring. I know it can be kind of scary to like go into a place where it's completely new and no one speaks your language and it's just scary. But just remember that pretty much everyone knows English. Also, airports are designed to make it easy for many people to travel from one place to the next. And so if you're overthinking things, you're like, I don't know where I'm going, what do I do? Just remember, it's not that much different in another country. So take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. It's gonna be okay. It's all part of the experience. It's part of traveling. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. Once you do it the first time, you're gonna be like, this wasn't so bad. I got this. Let's do a couple more of these. Let's roll, you know. If you guys want to see more videos on how to solo travel or just advice on traveling in general, let me know and I'm happy to make those. Don't forget to sign up for the Level Up Your Life membership. That is linked in the description box down below. It's 99 cents. I can't wait to see you inside. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.